Mr. John Schroder, State Treasurer of Louisiana. Hey, Mr. John, welcome back to Keel. Good morning. How you doing today?
Hadn't talked to y'all in a while.
Well, yeah, which is why you're here today. So, the legislature, the session just wrapped up. Let me start here. We had Jay Darden on last week, and we said, so, Mr. Jay, on a 1 to 10 scale, how did the session go in your mind? He said, I'd give those legislators a 10 out of 10. Would you care to comment on Mr. Jay's comments and then take it from there with your opinion?
I don't know. I run out of things to describe this administration. I mean, I told somebody yesterday that I've tried to be nice and give the administration the benefit of the doubt, work with them since I've been treasurer. Not that I didn't work with them as a legislator, but, I heard a lot about, don't throw bombs, don't do this, work with this, blah, 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 which I did, and that didn't work. And I'm just speaking from the Treasury's perspective and what we tried to get done during the legislative session. Me personally, in our department, I think it wasn't well at all. I think for the taxpayers of Louisiana overall, and I don't think it was good. They didn't lower your taxes. We've had 3 surpluses back to back to back, or will have. And this crew believes that when we have a surplus, that's great, that everything's rocking and rolling. When we have a surplus in my world, I believe we've taxed you too much, and we need to look at why and lower our taxes. The government should not be making money on the backs of the citizens of Louisiana, especially when we all but have the highest sales tax in the entire United States.
John, we talked to Jay Darden about that very subject, and I said, we had a $300 million surplus. Why did we go off and spend it? Why didn't we either A, save it, put it in the rainy day fund, or give it back to me? What a novel idea. Where was the push from lawmakers to do that?
Well, Lance Harris had a bill that would have phased out the sales tax. In essence, then, if you phase out that sales tax, it basically would eat up if you have a surplus for the next year, and it would do it over some time. And you've heard me talk about surpluses in the past. Surpluses aren't a bad thing, but you need to look and see why you have a surplus. The problem with state government is a surplus today means next year we should have more money. Well, what they do is they spend it, and they don't spend it on infrastructure projects or rainy day fund. They spend it on government. They spend it on things that cost more, and so every year your cost goes up. So the next year you need more money. Every year you're going to have to make more money to pay your bills, and that's the biggest problem that I see in government.
Anything good come from the session, John?
They're finished.
What happened with the ITEP thing? Did they're leaving that like it is? Is that a good thing or not?
Asks that. We've asked about 3 different people, and they all kind of, and they kind of went, that was a last minute thing, and you can read about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, nothing passed on the ITEP. I mean, we fought in unclaimed property. I think I shared with you guys a while back, that all the unclaimed property money that doesn't get returned at the end of the fiscal year goes into the general fund. Well, back in September, we were $20 million short. And so I went to the administration. I went to the Senate president. I met with all of them. Said, look, this needs to get fixed. So we came up with a fix. We decided we'd create a trust fund to save the money. We would invest it so that you could use the dividend, but ultimately we would always have the money there for claims. Well, we flew it out of the House of Representatives only to get bogged down in the Senate, which means the governor didn't care for it. And I know he didn't like it because it was going to take money out of the general fund, but the general fund should have never had this money to begin with. So I worked the system the way you're supposed to. That didn't work. So I decided as it looked, as we got towards the end of session, that I'm not going to give them the money. If they want the money, they're going to have to sue me for it. I don't believe it's government's money. I believe it's your money. I'm going to keep it in the account until somebody comes and takes it from me.
Mr. John, speaking of unclaimed property, I saw the post that you put on social media, that your office has on social media, and it lists parish by parish across Louisiana the amount of unclaimed property. And in Caddo Parish alone, $41,782,062 is that legit?
Robert, it's over $850 million that's owed to the citizens of Louisiana.
Bossier Parish, $11 million and some odd change.
And when you move to the bigger metro areas, I mean, like the Baton Rouge region, and it's like $100 million. New Orleans region is like $150 million. It's a lot of money.
Aaron's assuming right now, pardon me, Aaron is assuming that about $3 million of that alone is hers.
I know you got some of mine.
So
the governor really wants to spend this money. So what if we all claim our money at the same time and he's spent it? Where are we going to put whose butt we're going to pull the rest of it out of?
The law says I have to pay a claim within 90 days. There is no mechanism to do it. And I told Jay Dorn, I said, look, I'm not asking the state to pay me the $850 million. Let's stop it moving forward. It's the law says that the Treasury is the state is the custodian and the safekeeper. Aaron, nowhere in the law does it say the state ought to be spending this money. So and on top of that, guys, this policy would have raised no money on the taxpayers. It would have created a residual income stream that we could use for infrastructure projects around Louisiana. Now, I don't know about how you are up in Bossier and Freeport, but we got a few infrastructure issues down in St. Tammany Parish and the Baton Rouge region.
You bet. LATreasury.com. If you think you got some unclaimed property, that's where folks can go and get it, right?
Yes, ma'am. We got plenty of it.